new pressure is creating what the pressure creates. Need, create, which is new creativity, new genius, a new language, a new civilization, a new economy, a new politics. All of this is just a training to start to kind of widen the experience so you understand that this world needs you so bad. You want to, you made it into this room because you have a destiny to be a leader of this age. Satnam. It's January 1st, 2019, and welcome to Reality Riffing, a live broadcast here. Thank you for our studio audience, very good-looking studio audience here. And I spoke to both of my incredible colleagues separately in 2 Reality Riffing episodes that will be rolling out very soon. And we all had more to say, and we thought, well, we need to all we need a Trinity moment for some of the rest of the stuff we have to say about 2019 and just all of the mystical kind of power and the command that's possible. So joining me on stage, very, very happy to introduce Tashi Powers and Remington Donovan. So do you guys, I know you guys were cohorting behind my back as usual. The Venus gate's in Scorpio today, so let's get a little paranoid. So you guys, you roll out what you want to start to talk about just in terms of some of this astrological, numerological.
I'll just tell you when it is, and then Remington can talk all about the energy of it. It's at 2:25 today at 24 degrees of Scorpio. And it's
Pacific time, right?
Pacific time here in Venice. It's a moon conjunct Venus. It's one of the gates, all right? Venus is there's 7 gates of Venus, which is shameless plug in my book, out in the lobby, about the mysteries of the Venus pentacle. So today we're experiencing one of these gates for the next month, and it's a very much activating Scorpio transformation.
I'm going to backtrack to keep everything on one point with the numerology, and from the numerology we can really expand into the astrology. And numerology, astrology, tarot, Kabbalah, yoga, it all ties down, and you can actually boil everything down to numerology, because numerology is probably the most fluid, and you can apply it. These colors have numerology, that light bulb has a numerology, your name has a numerology, your foot has a numerology. So there's numbers associated with everything, and from there you can start to extrapolate a much higher wisdom. But Tashi and I have a little bit of a plan here. But so what we have this year is 2019 it's really simple. You add that up, you have 3, right? That's it. The whole year we have one energy field to think of. If you just want to simplify it and go direct every day, you could say, okay, it's a 3-year. And I also get a lot of people all the time that will say, well, what if you follow a Hebrew calendar, a Persian calendar, a Chinese calendar? Like, good for you, but I guarantee you do not write your check for your mortgage or your rent in Hebrew calendar time. Mm-hmm. Although I think my landlord would accept that.
Welcome to Los Angeles.
But with that being said, the point I'm making is for pretty much the entire world, the collective psyche is dealing with an energy of 2019. And we're going to see that number essentially every day. That number is going to come up, and that number reduces to 3. So most of the world that is dealing in dates and times are going to have that number is going into our psyche every single day. And what 3 is, it's the energy of power. Okay, it's the energy of courage. It's the energy of building. It's the energy of strength. It's the boss energy.
It's how many medical medium pancakes I had this morning.
3. We're gonna have 4 next year. So those are key. Those are going to be key ideas, and then it goes a lot deeper. So many mystical traditions, so many religions. Look for where the 3 shows up. I mean, everybody's heard of, the Holy Trinity. Tashi and I are gonna get into the astrology. I'm gonna get into some of the alchemy, and there's 3 stages of alchemy that resonate with the colors black, white, and red. And that resonates with this transformation of Pluto, which ties into the Scorpio energy.
And the Tantra, the different tantric kind of paths.
And so what Pluto, this alchemical formula in Pluto is is the union. It's your soul. It's coming into the truth and the essence of the soul. And with the 3 energy also resonates in Kabbalah to Saturn. And Saturn is about your right work and applying the discipline, and it's the taskmaster. So this is the year to really get shit done. And what I wanted to go into a little deeper is hidden within the number 3. A part of numerology, there's also mystical numerology, meaning that each number has a secret number associated to it. And I'm not going to break down exactly how to do that right now, but the 2 relates to 3 in yoga because we have positive mind and negative mind. 3 is the positive mind, right? On one level, it's very optimistic and forward thinking. It's the part of us. Positive is what? Positive is action oriented, right? And 2 is the counterbalance of that is called the negative mind. The mystical number of 2 is 3. And so you have 2 plus 3 equals 5 back to adding, it's all relates to the tree of life, but then you add 3 again. I'm sorry, and the mystical number of 3 is 6. I'm getting lost in my head. We have 2 plus 3. What we have with the number 3 is it ties into 2 plus 3 plus 6, and that is 11. So what we have this year is we still have this frequency of 11. 11 is the energy of the infinite and expansion. And so what this is telling us to do, this says, okay, we have this frequency 3 just says we're action-oriented, right? Well, because we have this hidden 11 existing in this frequency, and even the 6 part of it, the mystical number of 6 is 21, and 2 plus 1 is 3. We keep coming down to 3, which is the Saturn. This is the idea of form and manifestation and action. So we take action, we start to build a little something. The frequency of 11, this infinite flow of the universe is going to come. It's going to show up and say, oh, you showed up and did a little work. Yeah. I'm going to show up and make it a little easier for you. And today is a very interesting day because the moon and Venus are conjunct. The 3rd card of the tarot is the High Priestess, which is attributed to the moon. But the card that is number 3, it gets a little confusing with tarot because it starts with 0. But the card number 3 is the Empress, which is Venus. So we're still working within this energy field. And so we're now going to be more empowered. So when we take the idea of 3 and then we apply astrology to it, Tashi will tell us more what some of the lessons are with this Venus, Moon, Scorpio in Scorpio conjunction. And then whatever those lessons are, we know, okay, we're going to take this 3 frequency and we're going to take action with it. When I take action, it's going to expand and the universe is going to show up and help me do this work.
And I'll just say, as a preemptive to Tashi, when Venus comes into relation with, we'll say, the Saturnic, the 3, it has the Saturnic, the Saturn energy. When Venus relates to Saturn in a positive way, positive mind, a positive way, it becomes, this is the real kind of warrior saint, or the functional artist, or the empowered artist, someone who's actually being creative and getting paid for it, or someone who's actually expressing themselves in a constructive way, and the feedback from the kind of biofeedback from the universe is a building, rather than kind of what we've seen in the past is the kind of artist that is hand to mouth, or never, that never gets the kind of accomplishment, and so this is kind of an Aquarian age, is very much an Aquarian age kind of evolutionary graduation, I feel like, this year.
Yeah, the lowest frequency of Venus-Saturn is usually disappointment, and that comes because you haven't been self-empowered. So Scorpio in evolutionary astrology is all about self-empowerment, and actually that isn't even the highest frequency of it, though. The highest frequency of it is learning to co-create with God, with Source. And that would be this kind of energy of knowing that you're part of this lineage. The Scorpio is this empowerment because you're part of, your 10th gate is open and you're part of this very high lineage that is helping you, and you're learning as a human being what it means to co-create with the manifest creation. That's the highest frequency of Scorpio. So I'm going to assume that we're all working on our self-empowerment here, Nonetheless, we're also working against the collective shadow of domination, submission, diva, sycophant, and victim martyr. Those are the three shadows of the new age, all right? Capricorn, Cancer, domination, submission, Aquarius, Leo. Aquarius is friendship, tribe. Leo is diva, but it doesn't have to be. I mean, we have to love Leo because they need so much attention. In Cancer, we are learning to develop our ego, the moon, okay? So this is the moon with Venus today. If you've developed your ego so that it's strong enough so that you can love and be super creative, then you can serve. And that is where Virgo, that's the Cancer, Leo, Virgo energy that will deliver you the ability to serve others. And then you won't get stuck in these shadows. And each time you're not stuck in this shadow, it reverberates, okay? It's frequency. It's real. And you're sending it out, and you know that. So just stay high and wide. Don't go low. Moon, Venus, and Scorpio, try to see this month how you're co-creating something. It's not easy. I don't even always see it at all, okay? I'm not saying that's a cakewalk. It's hard. I'm pretty sure it's why I came back here, to figure out how to do it more better. As they say in American.
Well, and so the number 3 is the creative inspiration manifested. So what you were saying about the art, being an artist, I mean, we're all creating something in our life. And even in tarot, the art card is about the merging and the flow of your existence with the oneness of the whole of your existence. So let's look at your entire life as a creative, co-creation, artistic flow, even if it is like folding the laundry or cleaning the house or building a financial empire or painting a painting or writing a song or writing a book. Everything can become very unified. The 3 also in Kabbalah, there's something called the Supernal Triangle, which is numbers 1, 2, and 3, which is, to Kabbalists, will say this is where the idea of this Holy Trinity came from. But what we have is this formula of creation where we have, for lack of a better word, we have God. And in Kabbalah, even that concept is manifested out of this beyond the beyond of nothing. Okay, so on some esoteric level, they're like atheists, but not atheists. And don't take that literally, please.
Meta-atheism.
But it's high meta.
High meta. You wouldn't understand.
11 dimensions going in 10
How many Zen
directions.
masters does it take to change a light bulb? There are no light bulbs. I just made that up.
That's the 3-year. It'll be fun. A lot of debates.
But we have access to this creative potential. So, and Guru Jagat and I were talking about this the other day, sort of following that muse. Don't follow it. Just either capture it and create and do it. I'm telling you, if you just start the process of doing, the muse will start to unravel itself. So this idea, Saturn has such a negative, despairing rap that it's disciplinary and harsh and just a real shitty planet all around. And
But in evolutionary astrology, it has a way better rap.
Yeah.
So
I'll tell you about
the only
that.
discipline that I will get on you is no one's allowed to say starving artists, et cetera, et cetera. We're all like prosperous creators with God, and we're all artists.
Yeah, these are Saturnic teachings, the Kundalini Yoga teachings, and Yogi Bhajan was what is called a Saturn teacher. But as we all know, or at least we have the sinking feeling that it may be true, that discipleship or discipline is the only way you get the things that you want on this particular planet. So the only way you're going to have more energy is if you create a container of discipleship or self-discipline, or more prosperity, or more, it requires that, which is certainly part of the kind of cosmic conversation that's happening right now.
Yeah, I think it's a very complex subject in the East and a very young subject in the West, and it's very easy to not remember that you're also everybody's teacher and everyone is your teacher. And then you have this fabulous lineage that you have to pray to every day and get help from every day. But you also have to realize everything is teaching you. I'm a daemon soul, so everything's talking to me. It's chatty. But
There are supplements for that.
you know what? I used to do the client charts of a psychiatrist friend of mine, and she put me on all those good supplements right away. And I should tell you this. She said meditators and people who are like you, with a thin veil in the pineal gland, have very low serotonin often because they use it up. So meditators need to take things, and I take a ton of things. I do, every day. And when I don't, I'm a little edgy.
And Tashi just hit on a very key word, and she said the veil, and the thin veil. And that's the teachings, some of the teachings of the High Priestess card, which I'm speaking of because it's card number 3. So what I do as a numerologist is I just start linking where is the 3 always showing up in different areas and different systems. Look for it, whether it's license plates, addresses, but alchemy, tarot, whatever systems there's the 3 ganas, the 3 states of existence. A really good book is The Mind by Yogi Bhajan. And he talks about animal existence, human existence, and angelic existence. So there's a trilogy working within there, but the High Priestess card is the energy of the holiest of holies, and it's where the veil is the thinnest. And this is the energy field that opens the veil. The priestesses in the magical traditions are the guardians of the sacred space. It is the High Priestess says who can enter into the holiest of holy energy fields, and she holds the highest frequency. And that veil, for like Tashi was saying, it's thinner right now. This is where some people don't handle it. Even when you tie Saturn and Saturn, the reason Saturn is so powerful and people think it's this crappy planet is because dark forces have recognized its power and used it in a negative way. All that means is should tell us this is a very powerful yet subtle energy field, and when we tap into our sort of spiritual purity, meaning our authenticity. I don't mean go become pilgrims, kind of idea. What I mean is this: High Priestess is this authenticity of our unadulterated, true, pure, creative spirit. And the veil is thin, so we can access it now.
And there's certain places on the planet where the veil is thinner, and all of the Lord of the Rings, which is all about this kind of the rings of Saturn and who controls the 3 rings of Saturn and who controls that kind of energy field. But J.R.R. Tolkien received the transmission of that whole thing seated up against a tree in Avalon, or in these days it's known as Glastonbury. But that's a place on the planet where the veil is very, very thin, so you can kind of receive. So this is one of the reasons why we do go and we practice in these sacred spaces. And the only person who's ever recognized it out loud, like just randomly as a stranger to me at the time, was Jose, Tashi and I's friend, who's a Mayan timekeeper. And we did an interview with him a couple months back. But he came in, and the first thing he said, yeah, it's very good. It's on Rama TV. And did we make that into a reality riffing? I don't know. We should. But the first thing he said was, "This is a portal to Lhasa." I was like, thank you very much. So these places, these sacred places on the planet, this is where the veil, is thinner, and that's why people have, revelations, and that's part of what happens. But Guru Nanak in the Aquarian Age said that all 84 of these places that hold kind of portals into the more kind of cosmic bodies and the energetic kind of matrices, they also are represented in the body, and that you can traverse those 84 sacred spaces through your inner body, through your meditation. So that's, it's as within as without.
And 84 is 12, which is 3, so.
Exactly.
And my teacher,
point.
Colin Rinpoche, said those were the nadis, and when you meditate, you open your nadis.
Yeah.
So he
Yeah.
was teaching that so long ago in the 70s in North America. And Trungpa, of course, was too.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then Yogi Bhajan got here, and look at all of us. So I want to talk about Capricorn a little bit. In evolutionary astrology, Saturn rules, as in all astrology, the sign of Capricorn. And Pluto has been transiting Capricorn, which is a big deal, okay, for everybody in the world. When Pluto went through Libra, we had the end of normal marriages. 8 is Enough was a typical kind of television show. Then it went through Scorpio, and we had AIDS, and we had a lot of awareness about sexuality, and then the whole gender, all of that emerged from it. When it went through Sagittarius, the Catholic Church, Sagittarius can rule religion, was exposed. So Pluto is a scorpionic kind of energy that absolutely drills underneath everything. If you think Saturn's difficult, Pluto is the hardest planet to traverse consciously, because if you're not aligned with your soul, or the collective's not aligned with the soul path of humanity, it starts to destroy things. So it pulls the rug out in your own life. And after it's been pulled out for about 3 years, you're like, oh, thank God. I was on the wrong rug. I was flying the wrong way on that rug. So you're happy about it. So that's why we call it Happy Pluto. But it generally takes about 3 years after the transit to recognize you were on the wrong flying rug. But so Saturn and Pluto are both in Capricorn. So Saturn, this very intense planet of boundaries, is also the planet of truth and beauty. If you always speak the truth, if you can see the beauty, even in the most difficult things that you're experiencing, that they are truly your lessons, and that you have some foundation in your life that you haven't created properly, then Saturn will deliver you many, many gifts. I've experienced this myself, because I've been an astrologer since I was 14 when I met Jane Rudyard. So I've watched Saturn go through my first Saturn opposition, then my Saturn return, and I've seen the problems, the challenges, the tests, and they're not easy, not even for me, who knows what they are. You have to go through them. Because in evolutionary astrology, I want to say this about Saturn, we are getting out of consensus, and most of humanity is in consensus orientation where they're codependent, and that's fine. We have to have the Sagittarius keywords, compassionate understanding for where people are at. And then we're authenticating, which is what Remington's been talking about. Authenticity. And most of us are finding our own authentic path. And then we're discovering our interdependence. So true spiritual path is the path of recognizing humanity's interdependence. Saturn is more involved with the consensus level of everything, okay? In every stage, Saturn's involved in our consensus orientation and our codependence. So when we're having Saturn problems, we're having codependent problems. This is something I tell myself every day, okay? So you can probably put that in your mantra, your American English mantra, that Saturn issues, obstacles, problems, difficulties are because of codependence. And then you will be able to be quite authentic. You'll go up a notch. I see everything as we're moving through our evolution as these tests. So there are 5 eclipses coming, Cancer, Capricorn. The first one is Saturday. So today's a huge day with the Moon-Venus conjunction, and Saturday is an eclipse. And it's a new moon.
Which is the day of Saturn.
Which is the day of Saturn, yay. So it's a new moon eclipse, and
With a stellium of 6 planets in Capricorn.
yeah, just a few. So
Blowing my mind.
yeah, I mean, Mercury got in there. Mercury today is on the galactic center, so this is very cosmic information. The galactic center is the point where humanity's going. It's at 26 Sagittarius. Our fearless leader here has that on one of her main express to people points. Then Saturn, then the moon, then the sun, then Pluto, and the south node. So the south node just got into Capricorn, and that means that it's a karmic axis. That's what we call it in evolutionary astrology. We're not afraid of karma. There is karma, and everything else is what you do with it. You know, do you work with it, or do you just ignore it, or do you cop to it and go, okay, karma? And once you get able to see karma, you cop to it and you go, oh, wow, this is karma, and you work with it. I mean, you try. and you come to classes, and you meditate, and you pray, and you have friends you can talk to. So karma has entered Capricorn, okay? That's the best way to say this to you. The South Node is our past life patterns and karma, and they're in Capricorn, and we have 5 eclipses there, 4 this year and 1 next year. So hold on to your hat, get truth and beauty, really look at your codependence issues, and become authentic in your codependency issues, and then these eclipses will be a breeze because you'll be working on things. Just, you don't have to blow up your relationships, you just have to find the interdependence in them if you want to grow, all right? And I know that's a lot to just throw out there, but I'm available for questions.
I think we have a new T-shirt, authentically codependent. So authentic in my
Isn't that what, like,
codependence.
Al-Anon is
Interdependent,
for?
interdependence.
Here's the thing. We could, all of this with like, oh, these aspects are happening, this may be karma. In the magical tradition, karma is just a law of cause and effect. And it's also just the things that we're here to learn to master. I think that the word karma should be replaced with mastery. And these are just the things that we're working on. And because we have a 3-year, this means that we have easy access to this energy of Saturn. The whole idea is we get Saturn to work for us, okay? So we can sort of create these little, I call them little traps, these little Saturn traps. The Saturn's heavy, right? Saturn also has an axis. It tilts on an axis almost the same angle as the Earth. So the Earth is very, in the magical tradition, the realm of Earth is in alignment with the realm of Saturn. It's just Saturn's sort of this quote-unquote higher frequency of it. But these lessons, just think these are your tasks. Like if you have the ability to tap in and someone says, oh, hey, these are the things you're meant to work on, right? If you had a boss that said, hey, if you do these things and you get hit your sales, and I don't know, I'm just imagining what an office job is like, but I imagine you get handed tasks and then you perform those works and someone says, if you master this, you're going to make leaps and bounds with your incarnation. You're going to say, oh, yeah, this is great. I'm going to work on this, and I'm going to make leaps and bounds with my incarnation. And this 3-year, it's the energy of work. So it just says, hey, I'm going to suit up, I'm going to show up, I'm going to do it. It's just like that movie Field of Dreams, which I don't even know if I saw, but I know the spiritual lesson of that movie is they built it and I think it has to do with sports.
You can't get that out of your psyche.
It's a Bardo movie.
See, I've never even seen it, and it lingers in my psyche. And I'm
Exactly,
talking about
that's my point.
But anyhow,
Dances with Wolves or Fields of Dreams? I'm just kidding.
Dances with Wolves. I think
Just so much of that guy. What's that guy's name? I'm just kidding. Don't! Ah!
it's the year of Kevin Costner.
The 3 is all about Kevin Costner.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to do a
I got the
numerology
download
on his
too.
name.
Either you're with wolves in a field, or what are you doing with your life?
But what Guru Jagat was saying is we apply this discipline, and the discipline doesn't have to be harsh. It just says, I'm going to show up, and I'm going to do it, and I'm going to like it. Why can't we just like doing that? I heard a saying the other day that said, what if Sisyphus was happy?
That's hilarious.
And like we've been conditioned to say, oh, work means oppression, slavery. I have some dominant boss who's extracting everything they can from me and giving me as little as possible. That's the paradigm most of the planet is still thinking of.
Yeah.
This is the year. How many of you are afraid to ask for a raise? I know a lot of you, and I know that that's an issue, okay? Or charge what you're worth, or put in the work, or to not recognize your value. This, what Tashi was saying, this reality of Saturn shows up, and you can assess in a very true way, oh, what is my real worth? What is my real work? Oh, I show up, and I apply this discipline. These sort of karmic challenges are just, hey, this opportunity to master things. The one office job I had for 6 months, I learned I had a lot of opportunities for growth, which I learned meant I was doing a really bad job.
Yeah, I mean, some of us have a more kind of innate relationship with these things, and some of us it's a little harder for. Everybody has their incarnational accomplishments. And so some of us in the realm of these kind of Saturn moments, and we're very much, 2019 and then 2020 even gets crazier in this. We get a little squeamish around it, but some of us, this is actually natural habitat. So everybody gets their moment. That's what's so nice about. I always feel like, and it is very true on a polarity planet, the tables always turn, always. That's what mastering polarity is about. So if you're loving the kind of having to show up, and then you get your moment, and if it's really difficult for you, then but the tables always turn. So that's the whole way that this polarity planet kind of moves.
And at EA, or evolutionary astrology, we look at the signs as polarities. So the moon and Saturn are a polarity. Cancer, Capricorn are a polarity. So today's this really powerful day where you can be emotionally self-reliant the only way you get emotional self-reliance is you get out of codependence with others, and you have a relationship with a guru, with a lineage, with deity, with God, whatever that is for you. And for us, we know what it is. You have a relationship with that lineage. And then the time and space direction, we all know there's probably 11, scientists now talk about 11 dimensions. And Buddhists always talk about 10 directions and the 3 times and all of that.
Yeah.
I can't even remember anymore, but that's what we're dealing with. And so today, if you can practice aligning at 2:25 p.m. today, just close your eyes for a few minutes, 3 minutes, maybe 1 minute before and then 1 during it, 1 after minimum, okay? If you can. Otherwise, just any time today, and tune into Moon Venus. And if you're watching this later, tune into this Moon-Venus energy. It lasts a month. And become emotionally self-reliant in a place where you're connected to deity, to your higher self. And then from that place, notice that you have the ability with your self-reliance to learn. This 3 energy is also learning, right? And that's
it's positive mind, yeah. So there's a brilliance there. Yeah.
And then Saturn.
Gemini, right?
Yeah, Gemini is learning. And then the Moon-Saturn energy, which is always going to be a polarity, would be that you're going to see the truth. You're going to allow yourself to have the clarity to see the truth. And you're going to be responsible, and you're going to be your own authority. Those are Capricorn attributes that if you work on those, you're fine. Happily working on what you have to work on is the way to do it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so then I'll just say one. We'll go to the next eclipse. There is a full moon lunar eclipse, which is also a supermoon, on the 21st of January. And that one has Saturn, Pluto, Mercury, South Node only. So it only has 4 of them. And the sun and the moon will be opposed in Aquarius, Leo. And so Aquarius, Leo is about strength. Leo is about strength. So you're probably going to be working on the 21st of January on how to be strong in your tribe, Aquarius, in your goals. Aquarius is also how we strategically align ourselves with other people so that we can achieve our goals. That's really important when you're in a community, to realize that you have to strategically align yourself with those people who really match your vibration. And that's one of the things that Saturn is teaching all of us, discriminating awareness, And I find that, I have a watery Saturn. I love everybody all the time. It's not always so easy to do that. It's better to have discriminating awareness, and then this alignment happens, and then everybody rises.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Which I think it's getting more and more like the people. I'm always curious, the people who show up for New Year's Eve last night, and a lot of people. It's there was just a lot of people obviously there because they want to have a different experience of these, rituals and these initiations, which are what all these kind of days are about, whether it's a Roman calendar or a lunar calendar or any kind of way of holding or keeping of time and space. It's a ritual. It's the modern way that we have a ritual and initiation, and we're so devoid of that in our modern world. And this is because now the church, it hasn't quite quite happen, but it's happening. That the church spaces are not necessarily the places where these newer generations are going to gather. These are the places that they're going to gather. And so the whole thing is just completely changing of how we have community. And I feel like this eclipse, especially at 0 degrees, is like a total kind of initiation into that.
It is, yeah. And also, because it's not in the same sign as the nodes, the mastery pattern, I love that word for the karma, then there's more mastery available because you actually have two things to work with. So think of it as having extra tools in your toolbox. You have Leo in strength, and you also have this capacity to mature emotionally by being self-reliant and really honoring your own inner authority and knowing what you know, what you don't know. Just being really truthful with yourself, and certainly then with others. But then the Aquarius energy for all of us is actually really fun, because we're in this. We are the light brigade. We're birthing the new age of Aquarius. It's up to us. So I take that very seriously. I mean, I'm a shy person, and I'm up here talking to you. I guess I'm not shy anymore, but I used to be. And I forced myself to teach and to help because I was so privileged to learn from so many amazing teachers like you have been with Yogi Bhajan in my world. And I thought, okay, I got to pass this forward. So whatever it is in yourself, you're all equally gifted. We're all artists. Everybody's gifted. Share your gifts.
Well, and what we also have access to this year on a deeper level, all kind of bringing it back to this 3 idea, is 3 is the universal subconscious memory. So 3 is the energy of all of the subconscious memories since memories were memories. And we take this Saturn force that is oppressed and caused so much pain and distorted psyche. Because what Tashi was saying, and on those days, that's the 20th of January, right?
It's 20th in some parts of the world. Here it's the 21st.
Isn't it the wolf moon?
It might be.
I think
It's 1:16 a.m. in Eastern Time, Washington. So we run eclipse charts for the country because you're part of a collective, as we all know.
But having access to that Aquarian concept of the collective, us as a collective and a collective of humanity, we get to heal and we get to clear those subconscious burdens and we get to clear those subconscious patterns. So each person, as we do that as an individual, Leo, I do that as a great individual, I have a profound effect on the psyche of the collective. So there's a resonance and a vibrational frequency of that work that each of us do as individuals this year can affect the whole in a greater way. And because it's subconscious and it's Scorpio, which is a penetrative energy, and this hidden 11 is sound frequency, right? What does sounds do? Sound permeates into everything. I've often mentioned this, and if you've heard it before, I apologize, but at MIT they've developed equipment sensitive enough to extract the sound vibrations from a human voice in like inanimate objects. So a block of wood, the one experiment I saw was a bag of potato chips. But what mystics have been saying forever is that this mantra and our sound current and our voice goes in and it lives. It's a living frequency and it goes in. So we have this extra amplification of everything this year. So as an individual, we do our work, but our work has such a profound effect on everybody this year. So it's sort of our secret moon magic positive mind control.
Mm-hmm. Positive mind control. Another
I'm a
good
Scorpio,
t-shirt.
so I'm very controlling.
Yeah, no, I love it. But I was just going to say that I don't remember actually, because once you went on positive mind control, that took my
Okay, I'll jump in.
It's so good.
You can come back. We can talk about this one. Should I jump in on you?
Yeah.
Okay. So Uranus second ingress into Taurus. So January is amazingly powerful. All right. This Mars went into Leo last night. Not Leo, Aries. I wish Aries.
Aries.
But it has been in Pisces with Neptune and Chiron for a month. And that's been hard, okay? The chaos of the chaotic beauty has been highly chaotic, my poetry, my sad poetry.
It's really good.
You're an amazing artist and poet, Tashi. This is the year of artistic abundance.
You're amazing, chaotic, what?
The chaos of the chaotic beauty. Neptune is chaos. Okay, so Trungpa said, and I love Trungpa so much. He was one of my teachers, and he said in his book, he ends one of them with, the best that will happen to you when you get enlightened is that you'll realize it's chaotic, it's chaos, and you'll have glimpses of the patterns in the chaos. So don't go all heady about getting enlightened. It's, just keep growing in your awareness, grow your heart. So Uranus is this planet of piercing kind of the trauma-drama game of life, so that you can actually see that you're waking up. Does that make sense? And that planet, Uranus, has been squaring the mastery, the karmic nodes, and is squaring during these 2 eclipses. So the necessity to wake up right now in January is very intense. Because Mars was with Chiron, which is the wounded healer, and with Neptune, many of us have been feeling very confused, even though we don't even know why we're confused. And chaotic, even though we don't understand why is there such chaos. And emotional, because it's Pisces. And so empathetic, because it's Pisces. So there's just been this tremendous chaotic beauty unfolding that is above our intellectual capacity to actually perceive all the connections in all this chaos, all right? But there's been a healing in it. And that healing has been our Mars energy, which is trying to figure out how to go forward as a collective, because Pisces is the ultimate collective sign. And then how to take our spirituality for us, especially as meditators and our meditation, and use that in a way where our heart's involved, where our spirit to really be of service to the collective is involved. Anyway, that changed last night, before midnight for us, and Mars went into Aries. And I have to tell you, I was like, yes! I was a little tired of all that Pisces.
Oh, God, so irritating.
Yeah.
And
So it's so complex.
It's so complex.
Deep
And
and
the living
complex.
embodiment of confusion right over here.
What?
But
No.
Gemini.
oh,
No.
Gemini. Oh, there's
No.
there's some underhanded Gemini.
Yeah. Okay, you talk.
But although a really good point, and coming back to no matter what is going on, and joking about the confusion, this year of 3, just, always think 3 is our core chakra. And even the third podium, the Jop G, is about coming in, turning disempowerment into empowerment. Mm-hmm. So that's like, if you don't do anything else, just play that mantra. And the confusion with a lot of the what's happening astrologically, and I see a big Uranus sign there, which is often, that is just a consciousness that can be so highly evolved, it just doesn't seem in alignment with the rest of the world. That's why it can be perceived as chaotic. And that is also what rules Aquarius, and we're coming into this Aquarius-Leo dynamic soon. But, you have to think, in yoga, we teach that the core chakra, that core is what balances and centers. That's like the counterpoint. Yeah. So if we are just working there, we can stay centered, we can stay grounded, and everything that's happening on the exterior, or how we perceive it emotionally and internally, we're going to be okay. And that's a key message of 3. It just says, hey, we can actually be in our power. That's where we find ultimate balance, no matter what crazy aspects are happening, or what sort of quote unquote tragedies, or what's happening in our world, that we can plow through now. And it doesn't have to be that difficult.
And this is what I was going to say before that I didn't say that I'm going to say now. Which is that all the people who are out there doing the things that you think you want to do, which may or may not be, if you have thought of it, it somehow is connected to a possible destiny seated beige path for you, the seed of destiny. I don't think about certain things, and I don't want certain things because they're not in my destiny kind of a mandala of potentiality, my quantum destiny mandala of potentiality. And you do think of certain things. So all those things, that you've been kind of dreaming of, or what you wanted to be when you grew up, or your little fantasies, or your little, kind of daydreams, all of that stuff are, in some way, they're seeds of a potentiality of destiny. Now, they may or may not be the highest destiny, which is what, kind of the nodes of the moon that Tashi's talking about, and some of these powers of these Trinity powers. They may not be the highest, but they are seated in the possibility and the potentiality. And one thing that I wouldn't suggest you spend too much time on it, I've already done it, so you don't have to, is you go out there and you look at the people who are the leaders, even the newer leaders of this age. There is very little content of what there's very little depth and very little content of what's actually being offered out there or what's actually being talked about. Now, it's changing, it is changing, and there are these kind of leaders that are rising. But part of what I would just like to kind of invite everyone to get is that you have something to say, and you have something to kind of step into. And what's happening out in the world is people are getting New York Times bestsellers and Pulitzer prizes and Nobel Peace Prizes for things that are much very degraded compared to what the offerings that you actually have to give. Now, you don't want to spend any time looking at what's going on out there, but you would be shocked at what's, the people who are being, the COOs of the biggest companies that are the most kind of, liberal or interesting or progressive, what they're actually doing behind closed doors is totally,
selling us out.
Yeah. And so, and New York Times bestseller, all this kind of stuff. So all of these kind of structural, what has been giving accolades to kind of deem these people the leaders, that all is kind of you're going to see that all start to kind of get deconstructed. But when you're thinking about how you can speak or how you can step in or how you can enter the cultural conversations or the political conversations or the economic conversations or the whatever your kind of piece to the puzzle is, what's going on out there? The only reason it's going on is that those people think they have something to say, or that there's some AI intelligence that's making their message go viral. But that's another talk. Stay tuned. Reality Riffing, season 2019. So that's another talk. But there really is there isn't what's being kind of put out there is it's pretty vacuous. So we need you. We need real content.
And that's the negative mind control. So back to even this theme, the positive mind, the negative spectrum of positive mind is you can spiral down into a very heavy negative loop. And you could, just like you were saying, you could plant the potentiality of any sort of weird thing. And what Tashi always reminds me of is that the Saturn energy is always about alignment and being in your right work. And so, this theme that we sort of can open up this true veil of ourselves, take that action, that right work, that's where we're harvesting those right seeds. And so I definitely predict the rest of the world could get really weird this year.
It will.
And especially because 3 is also confrontational. It's powerful. It's the boss. It's the command center energy. So it's like too many cooks in the kitchen kind of idea, or too many presidents in the world and world leaders. We have this potential. People like us, we have to change the psychic frequency of the world. That's our bigger overall mission. We do that, come into an alignment with our right work. So be mindful of where you're taking action this year, because that action is just going to start evolving. So, I call them the negative daydreams of just where you just start to loop, and that 3 will just pull it down and make it worse. And we all have our ways that we spiral out and something triggers us, and and we just want to give up on life and everything's a failure and I just want to hit delete and maybe the world will end and that would be great.
Whoa.
Cancel clear.
Mine's just kind of a Netflix binge, but okay.
Oh, that's where I take my Netflix binging.
Like yesterday, it was like, whoa! It's the unedited Lord of the Rings Twin Towers, which is like 5.5 hours. I was like, this is awesome.
That's what I wanted to. But that negative mind control that these dark forces have used the power of Saturn. Why they're using the power of Saturn because it's so freaking powerful, right? Like you're not gonna. Well, it's like let's use this powerhouse. Saturn has created this institution of even Satan and this idea because of that force. But in Kabbalah, the vice, every what are called Sephiroth has a planet attributed to it. Saturn is attributed to Binah, which is the third Sephiroth. So that's why I keep coming back to this planet. Its virtue is silence, and then its vice is avarice. And that avarice is the world that we've been living under in this construct of greed, more. People say the root, like money is the root of all evil. I always say it's the lack of money is the root of all evil. Even people that have billions of dollars that think they're programmed, I have to have more. That's avarice. Avarice is just blind, selfish, self-centered greed that we, even like a lot of reality TV is like just winner takes all. We can only have one person, they get to do it, and then it's okay. And whatever actions you do, as long as like you went to the bank, like you're fine. And that condition's just, it's ending now because the virtue is silence. And within that realm of silence and in the magical tradition, the word of the new eon, which is this time frequency for over 25,000 years, is silence. And silence relates to a card in the tarot called the Eon card or the Judgment card, which relates to Pluto, which brings us back to this Scorpio energy we have today. Pluto rules Scorpio. So through that silence, through that sound, that authenticity of silence, we reach our souls, and that's going to be where a lot of the profound shift is.
And on that, I guess we'll have to take our own advice because Remington has to start his workshop. So I guess we'll
We'll continue.
Well, this is a constant conversation.
I'm doing a workshop on silence. We're just going to sit here. I'm not going to say a word.
We really wanted to show you what silence was like by talking your ears off for the past hour. But so if you're interested in some of these concepts and you want to take it further, of those you who are listening or watching out there, you can check out David Icke's video about Saturn and the control of Saturn. If you want to read a book, which people don't really do that much anymore, a great book called Catastrophobia by the astrologer Barbara Hand Clow. Yeah, she's very interesting. So if you're interested in kind of looking at how these cycles and how we've been, because as I said this morning, the only way this is going to change, and Goethe, the German philosopher, said something to the I will hack to the extent of the only way that things that you'll be able to evolve is if you are carefully studying the cycles of history. So that's why we're in all of our own ways, we're the mystical and the yogic and the cosmic kind of quantum time space students. That's the whole reason we're doing this.
And on the day of the eclipse, you can come to Rama and you can work on your own personal Saturn, because I'm doing a special course on Saturn where you will make your own Saturn by place and house, and then work with the collective Saturn energy that's going on for 2 years, okay? So I'm going to help
so
you
cool.
make your own
Okay,
costume.
amazing.
Yeah.
And a personal plug
Adele and I figured
for
it out.
Tashi is, as we work with each other a lot, is putting Saturn in a right elevated perspective has made a huge shift for me.
Yeah,
And
for everybody.
and
Yeah.
so I thank Tashi for that, but we all can make it so much easier in a way.
We can make Saturn our friend.
And this is, I mean, what Tashi's giving in these Vastu teachings are, you cannot find this anywhere. I almost died in an Indian taxi trying to catch a flight because I went to receive teachings from a Rinpoche, which he did not give me, but he gave me, as they do. He didn't see, silence was he put a lot in that silence. But, getting these teachings, it's very, very unusual. So we're very lucky to have the kind of enriched conversation we get to have here. So that's Saturday, January 5th at what time, Adele? 2 p.m. You'll be making your own Saturn Vastu, and that's over the Eclipse. And Remington Donovan's amazing workshop is going to start here, and we're going to have a little transition. It'll start in about 5 minutes. If you didn't think you were going to stay, but now you want to stay, see Adele. Anything else people need to know?
It's learning. Every single person has a personal numerology for each year is different. So that's what I'm going to be going over today.
Oh, how
What is
cool.
your individual numerology? Like I'm having a
Amazing.
5-year. So
Okay. You look like
I
you're
guess-
having a 5-year.
I got to figure yours out.
Yeah, you do.
And I'm not chopped liver, me too.
Yeah, me too. Okay, bless you all. Satnam.
Satnam.